Hello friends. This is the Ani Fanfics. How are you all? So we are back with an amazing movie on What If Naruto Was the Vampire Lord? Here's a summary. Naruto Uzumaki has led a hard life, but it was only thanks to a fellow Uzumaki along with his friends that he managed to pull through. One day he was attacked by some strange creature that left him with a gift. The powers of the most powerful monster in the world. With this he will drown the whole world in darkness, and have vengeance upon the people that lied to him and his mother.
But before we begin, be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video. Now let's begin. Land of Fire Konoha Ninja Academy, already class settled down. I have an announcement to make. The class was filled with children, a majority coming from civilian families, yet there were some that came from clan families. Inuzuka, who fight with dog partners and adopted dog traits to complement their fighting style. Aburame, who use insects to fight and have their own personal hives in their bodies to call upon. Yamanaka, who specialize in jutsus that invade, control the mind. Nara, who specialize in using jutsus that manipulate shadows, yet are notorious for being extremely lazy. Akamichi, who are infamous for their physical prowess and the ability to use their own fat as weapons. Hyuga, who have a bloodline that gives them 360-degree eyesight and X-ray vision. The Uchiha, who have a bloodline that allows them to also see chakra, and copy jutsus and fighting styles just by looking. And the Kurama clan, who specialize in illusions, and some are even able to turn illusions into reality. Just to name a few. Today we have a new student joining us. He stated before gesturing towards the new arrival, who was a red-haired girl with violet eyes. As all attention was turned to her, she squirmed a bit in discomfort. Hello. My name is Kushina Uzumaki. I came from the land of whirlpools, Databane. She quickly shut her mouth, embarrassed of her verbal tic. She could already hear people talking about her looks, teasing about the verbal tic. She internally scowled at this. Come now everyone, settle down. The teacher chastised the students. One of them decided to ask Kushina a question. How come you're here? Doesn't your home have its own academy? There was nothing malicious about the question. They were genuinely curious about why she's here, since just about every shinobi village has its own ninja academy. So it's odd that someone hailing from another village is attending an academy from one besides their own. Though that was the wrong thing to ask. Kushina flinched and her hair shadowed her eyes. Though no one noticed it, the teacher was quick to see Kushina's discomfort. The situation is a bit complicated to explain. Everyone looked at the teacher confused but didn't press for any more answers. As she took her seat, not caring about the blonde-haired, blue-eyed, effeminate-looking boy staring at her, she thought back to events that happened to her and her plans for the present and future. Despite her hatred, she honestly has no idea how she was going to have her vengeance. Konoha was easy, as she could gain enough power and tear it apart from the inside without anyone knowing until it was too late. Suna, well, she actually has nothing against them. It was Iwa, Kumo and Kiri that would be difficult. Iwa was known to be quite savage in battle even by a shinobi's standards. Kumo has the most superior military might, and Kiri has all those bloodlines, more than what Konoha has. Though it wasn't impossible, it would be damn difficult, and in all honesty she'd most likely be dead before she could ever accomplish her vengeance against them. But no way in hell would she give up. Hello there. She turned to look at the blonde-haired boy, who smiled at her yet looked a bit shy. It's nice to meet you. My name is Minato Namikaze. Unknown to her, Minato Namikaze will end up changing her life forever. For better, and for worse. 1 year had passed and she was now a genin. Everything was pretty much the same, which was crappy. She was seen as an outcast due to her being an outsider. People made fun of her red hair and round face, which caused them to call her a tomato. The worst was when they tried to beat her up. Worse, in that no matter how many times she keeps sending bullies to the hospital, they always come back thinking she's an easy target. I mean, seriously, just how many does she have to beat up for them to get the message? She was starting to think that she should start killing them to prove a point. She gazed coldly at the battered up bullies laying on the ground. Pathetic. She sneered before spitting on one of them. Before she left, she sensed someone watching her. She looked and saw Minato staring at her with amazement. The two stared at each other for a moment before she scoffed and walked away. That boy had been following her around for quite some time, yet could never seem to be able to approach her. Not for lack of confidence, it's that he has no idea how to approach someone like her. Also, each time he tried to help out with bullies, they always wind up beaten on the ground before he could so much as lift a finger. Kushina meanwhile had no actual opinion on him, since he never actually done anything to her and she never gave him an opportunity to help in any of her fights. But still, maybe she can throw him a bone or two. Things are becoming much easier now. Kushina smirked as she glanced at monstrous beast, snarling and trying to break free from its chains. Or at least that's what everyone would expect. The fox was just staring at her with suspicion and curiosity. She had found out that the true reason for her being sent to Konoha was so she could become its next Jinchuriki. She scowled at that. To become this village's weapon. Oh wait, she means protector. Kushina rolled her eyes. To think that one of the only and oldest survivor of her clan actually bought the stupid crap that Konoha constantly preaches. She once saw Mito Uzumaki as the pinnacle of power, someone who showed the strength that the female gender could truly show. But now she was a simple blind old bat past her prime who believes in the delusion of an eternal peace hiding the true violent greedy nature of humanity. Well, it's a good thing that she's dead now, otherwise she would have had to kill the old crone herself. The two stare at each other. They did not trust each other. They did not like each other. But there was no hate between them. They could each sense the hatred they have for humanity. Kushina turned around before disappearing from her mindscape. She now knows that the Kyuubi is the key to bringing the shinobi system down. Just not in the way she thinks. She slowly opened her eyes and noticed she was being carried by someone. That someone was Minato Namikaze. What happened? As she asked that, she noticed that she was covered from head to toe in blood, making a mess on the Namikaze's shirt. She then remembered what had happened. Some Kumo nin had managed to infiltrate the village and kidnap her for the reason of her being in Uzumaki. Of course they had absolutely no idea that she was the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Which made it so much easier to slaughter them like cattle. The Kyuubi was generous enough to lend her some of its chakra just to teach the stupid humans a lesson. However, because this was the first time she had used the Biju's chakra, she had passed out from the massacre. You're awake, that's good. How do you feel? Tired, but otherwise fine. That's good to hear. She was genuinely surprised to hear the relief and concern in his voice. How did you find me? Strands of your hair were left on the ground making a trail. So he noticed. In all honesty, when she made that trail she didn't think anyone would find it, much less bother to follow it. If you found me, then you should know what I've done. I know, yet I don't really care. She stiffened in shock. I can't say that what I saw scared me beyond belief, but considering what they wanted to do to you, I say they rightfully deserved it. Though not official, many are aware of the fact that when a kunoichi is captured by any enemy forces, they would be raped for either information, stress relief, or if they had a bloodline then use as breeding stock. Worst case, all three happens to them. But, I don't even care that you're a Jinchuriki. Kushina's eyes widen in shock. Why? Why are you not afraid of me? Us Jinchuriki are nothing but monsters in human flesh who are made just to slaughter the enemies of the villages that we're bound to. You're wrong. Kushina stared at him in curiosity. You are human like the rest of us. Jinchuriki is just a title, nothing more, nothing less. Besides, she can practically feel him smile. I seriously doubt such a cute girl like you can be such a monstrous being like you claim. The two were silent as Minato continued walking towards Konoha with Kushina. Baka. Kushina said with a smile. All the while leaving the pile of corpses deep in the forest. All of them ripped apart, chunks of flesh bitten off, their faces set in an eternal expression of pain and terror. As the years gone by, the two had gotten closer and closer until they had promptly fallen in love. The two had quickly advanced through the ranks, and he even has his own genin team. She had come to love him so much that she had contemplated on telling him her plans. At least until he told her his desires. Minato loves this village with all his heart, absolutely believing in its will of fire, and as such wanted to become Hokage and continue to serve and protect Konoha. He was no different than the senile old hag, and yet unlike with the elder Uzumaki, she couldn't bring herself to kill him. Kurama. Is this what love is? I do not know. There was only one person I can possibly say that I truly loved, but not in the same way as you feel. Kyuubi responded. Kushina was curious on what person could possibly hold something similar to love with the Kyuubi, but she was too focused on her own feelings to ask. I hate this. Kurama could sense the turmoil in her. Now was not the time to dwell on these feelings, Uzumaki. After all, we are in the middle of the battlefield. Right. She got off the corpse she was sitting on and removed her chikudo from another, the blade stained red with blood, and sheathed it. All around her were corpses of enemy shinobi, all of them sliced to pieces. She couldn't lose focus considering this was the Third Shinobi World War. Ah! Kushina flinched in surprise at the scream. She never heard someone scream like that before in the battlefield. This was not a scream of rage or pain, it was a scream of pure terror and fear. Kurama, what was that? She could sense the fox tensing. I do not know. All I can sense is a lot of negativity in that direction. As if the being is practically saturated in it. Her eyes narrowed in wariness. I'm going to investigate, meanwhile link up with my chakra. Kurama has the special ability of sensing negative emotions while Kushina is a natural-born sensor. Unfortunately, Kurama could not sense chakra like an actual sensor, while likewise Kushina could not sense negative emotions. However, when they link their chakras together, not only do the two senses combine together, forming a more accurate reading on whoever they're locking onto, it becomes stronger while all of their other senses heighten to greater degrees, such as her sense of smell and hearing. Her eyes gain the ability to see in the darkest of places, eagle-like vision, and the ability to see chakra in its purest form, which coincidentally also allowed her to see spirits and make genjutsu completely useless against her. With the link on, the both could instantly pinpoint the exact location of the malicious energy. She soon regretted it, as not only could she sense all the despair, fear, and hate, she could also sense just how vile the chakra is. Uzumaki, before the fox could say anything, they had already reached their destination. What they saw was pure carnage. Blood was everywhere, bodies were crushed or bitten to shreds, and at the center of it all was, "Help me! Help me!" And Iwa Nin was desperately crying out for help as he was being eaten alive by some monster. The beast was some sort of humanoid skeleton about 7 meters tall, and when she said skeleton she literally means skeleton. The thing completely lacked flesh and organ of any kind, to the point she was wondering how it was even alive. If it weren't for the link, she would have thought the beast was some sort of genjutsu. Despite the main body being that of a human, it has curved horns on its head. The skull itself resembled more like an ape except flatter. Its teeth were more like katana blades and were so long that they pointed outwards from its mouth and were twice the length of its skull, and at the tips of each of its fingers were long bone claws reminiscent to scythe blades. It seemed to be scrapping against the ground, looking for more food. What the hell is that thing? A yukai. Yukai. Demonic beasts that inhabit both the lands of Gehenna and Asya. Neither Biju nor human, they wander across the lands, attracted to lands of negativity or to just searching for a place to call home. Humans fear them since they wield such massive otherworldly powers and could not be subjugated like the Biju. This was confirmed when Hashirama tried to hunt them down and seal them away like he did with the Biju, only to be damaged to the point of being crippled for the rest of his life. You there. The Nin finally noticed Kushina's presence. Please. I'll do anything you ask. Just get me out of here. I don't want to die like this. Kushina simply looked at the Nin with amusement. Why? Why won't you help me? The yukai seemed to have enough of the Iwa Nin's cries as it tossed him up in the air. Eh? He looked down only to see himself falling straight into the mouth of the skeleton. Wait. His life ended as the jaws clamped down on his bloody, spraying blood everywhere. The skeleton made a motion as if it was swallowing the remains. It looked around the area before finally noticing Kushina's presence. She instantly got ready for any conflict that might arise, unsheathing her blade. The two stared at each other for seemingly eternity. Finally, one of them made the first move. The yukai disappeared in a cloud of ash. What the? She then felt it right behind her. With a clawed hand it tried to slice her apart. She had enough time to unsheath her blade and block it, except she was shocked that she was blown away by the sheer force of its strike, landing her to the opposite side of the field. What the hell? Just how is it this strong? The yukai stared at her before letting a terrifying roar. Kra triple A. It instantly charged forward on all fours. She was surprised at how fast it is, but not fast enough, as she easily jumped out of the way. She tried bringing down her blade on it, only for one of the rib bones to move and block it. It feels like trying to cut through steel. She backed away from the beast. If I can't cut it, then wind is useless in this situation. Then she summoned balls of crimson flames. I'll just have to burn you to a crisp. She launched them at the monster only for it to summon bone pillars from the ground to block it. Shikatsumiku. It took advantage of her shock and disappear once more, appearing right behind her. This time she knew better than to block, so instantly dodged, the ground cratering and creating shockwaves from the force of the strike. She summoned her Kongo Fusa to bind the beast. It struggled a bit, before pulling Kushina with its incredible strength, swinging her around with her own chains. She was quick to dispel the chains and use the momentum, as well as using Taiten, to amplify her sword strike, actually succeeding in cutting off its hand. I did it. However, the hand dissipated into ash before reforming back to its arm, looking as good as new. She dodged another blow and put some good distance away from it. So that's how it works. It can turn its entire body to ash in order to move it from one point to another to extremely high speeds, giving it the impression that it was teleporting. Not only that, but it can turn parts of its damaged body into ash and reassemble it in order to repair said damage. Apparently turning to ash took less energy than using Shikatsumiku to simply regenerate bone. Now how should I use this to my advantage? Craw. Her eyes widened when she saw ashes gathering in its mouth to form some kind of fireball before launching it at her. She was barely able to dodge before the area she stood exploded. She looked back and was shocked that the area was just ash. That theish. It started launching more ash balls at her and all she could do was dodge. I can't get close to it without being overwhelmed by its strength. Long range is useless with its ash abilities, and Shikatsumiku, whatever damage does appear, can instantly reform, and it can use long range attacks to keep distance on the enemy. This skeleton beast, it's the perfect killing machine. It has virtually no exploitable weakness that a shinobi can use, as it does not have any organs or flesh that can be pierced to end it. At first she thought those nins were simply weak, yet now she can see that it was simply because this thing was overpowered. So, this is the power of a yokai. Kurama, how many tails am I going to have to use to even up the odds? About 5. What? Just how freaking powerful was this thing if she needed to use 5 tails war of Biju chakra just to do something to that monstrosity? And the problem is that she's only able to use 4 tails worth. Any more than that and her body would give out from the strain. Thanks to the distraction, one of the ash balls almost hit her if she hadn't sent one of her chains to block it. I don't really have an option, so I'll just have to settle for 4. Before she could even start to call upon Kurama's chakra, her and the beast heard something. Everyone, we're almost there. Some nin were close to the combat area. The monster decided to go after them and scuttle towards their direction. Wait a minute, hey, where are you going? Calm down. From what I can see, that thing is just hungry and decided to go after its next meal. But we were in the middle of a battle, it can't just do that. In your eyes it was a battle, but for the yokai you were just food, and when you became too much trouble it decided you were an annoying fly that needed squashing. Wait, so does that mean, yes? She could feel her eye twitch in anger. All this time when she was fighting for her life and the stupid thing didn't even register her as a threat. Her pride was deeply damaged. Uzumaki, calm down. You can sort this out later, but right now you are in a war zone and I seriously doubt that Bones is the only yokai out here in battlefield. Use this distraction to get out of here while Bones is busy feasting on the poor saps. As if on cue, she could hear the pained, terrified cries of the nins, the flesh being torn apart and the roars of the yokai. She decided that that was her cue to get out of here. Kurama, when this is all over you will teach me everything you know so I won't have to deal with something like this again. Though this was her first time encountering a yokai, it will not be her last. As well, she would not be the only person to encounter the yokai race, as there will be many reports of monstrous beings killing humans from all sides, feasting on their flesh, attracted to all the carnage and violence of the shinobi world war. Pregnant. It was not her boyfriend, not him proposing to her, not her marriage that caused her to doubt her ambitions. She was going to be a mother. She laid down on her bed, tears of both happiness and despair dripping out of her eyes. Kurama, what should I do? I can't just let the villages continue on without consequences, yet I can't put my one remaining family's life in danger. Despite married, despite how much she loves him, she will never consider Minato family. It was why she never took his last name, and why she will never let this child take his name either. She knows that Minato will be devastated if he ever heard her true feelings about him, so she never told him. One could argue that she could easily send her child to an orphanage to be adopted, to leave the village entirely and abandon them, or to simply give up on her vengeance entirely. However, Her hatred ran too deep, and the thought of just abandoning her child, for good reasons or not, made her physically ill. She would rather be violated to death than to just abandon her child. Whether you like it or not, enemies will come after your child for simply just being an Uzumaki. Your child will eventually come to hate this world when he matures, so all you can do is teach him to fight to the bitter end and rely on him to help you in your ambitions. As much as it left a sour taste in her mouth, he was right. Her child will constantly be in danger in this environment and will follow her to her path. 2 heads are better than 1, as they say. Thank you, Kurama. The fox simply grunted. She laid down in silence, relaxing until her husband will come home. Have you come up with a name for your child? Yes. If it's a boy, I'm naming him after you. Kurama widened his eyes in shock. Why? Silly question. After all, you are his godfather, so why wouldn't I name him after you? I thought the Yondaime's sensei was supposed to his godfather. And just what makes you think I am male? It will be a cold day in hell before I ever let that toad be my child's godfather. Unlike everyone else, you are just as much family as my child. And so far your voice just sounds too masculine to be a girl's. Although of course what the fox didn't tell her was that all Biju are genderless, though technically speaking it is possible to choose a gender for them, since they are beings of pure energy rather than actual living beings of flesh and blood like yokais, beasts and humans. If she had looked into her mindscape, she would see the fox crying silently. It was the first that a human ever accepted him like that, and it reached a deep part in his heart that he thought was long forgotten. And if the child is a girl, then her name will be Tamamo. God fucking damn it, it hurts so much. The day has arrived. It was time for her child to finally be born. She, Minato, Bawako, the wife of the Sandame, along with a couple of nursemaids, were at a secure location. Minato was there to strengthen the seal, despite Kushina reassuring him that the fox will not make any attempts to escape, as it was common knowledge that the seal is at its weakest during pregnancies and especially during the birthing process. Indeed, if one were to look into her mindscape, they would see the fox currently sleeping. Come on dear, you can do this. Minato encouraged his wife. This lasted for about half an hour. Minato was encouraging his wife, as he kept the seal together. He did find it strange that the fox was seemingly making no move to take advantage of the situation. I can see his head, Kushina. We're almost there, my dear. Bawako told the mother to be. Just hang in there, you're doing great, said the medical ninja that was helping Bawako with the birth. Just then, the baby was finally born, and Bawako told the medical ninja to give her some hot water so she could clean the baby up, and making sure the afterbirth was taken from Kushina, as there was no other problems she had to deal with now. Today I'm a father, Minato said with a smile, as he held out his arms to hold his child. Yes, you have a healthy baby boy, Minato, Bawako told the father, before she passed him and reminded him. Remember what I told you last time, mother's first, father's second. So Kurama, we finally meet, Kushina told her new son with a painful smile. Now let me check to make sure your son is okay, Bawako told the parents. Kushina, I know it is a silly question that you just gave birth, but are you alright? Asked the Minato. I'm okay, his wife told him. Alright, now I realized what you have just been through, but we have to reseal the 9 tails, Minato told his wife as he put his hands on his belly. But before he could, he heard something, and as he looked around, he saw Bawako and the other medical ninja Tomoyo collapses onto the floor, dead. Lady Bawako. Tomoyo. Minato cried out. Behind them was a man wearing a black hooded robe, and a white mask with one eye hole and what Minato thought was black flames on one side of the mask. 4th Hokage Minato, step away from the Jinchuriki, the masked man told the Hokage, or the child will die within his first minute of living. How the hell did this person get past the barrier? Minato thought, darkly worried for his wife and his newborn child. Who is this bastard? Due to all the negativity, the fox instantly woke up, concerned for his host, though he unintentionally caused a chakra spike, shocking Kushina. Damn it. The 9-tail seal is breaking. Minato thought worriedly as he saw seals on his wife was spreading in response to the situation. He knew if he didn't do something, the 9-tailed beast would be free, but at the same time, his son was in danger too. He didn't know what to do. Step away from the Jinchuriki, repeated the masked. Don't you care what happens to the brat? Please wait, please stay calm, Minato told the man, as he raised his arms and stepped away from his wife. He didn't want to, but he didn't want to risk his newborn son. Whatever happens, once he got his son, Minato could give chase to this man and get his wife back. Speak for yourself. I am as calm as I can be. The masked man told Minato, as he threw Kurama into the air. Seeing this, Kushina cried out in fear, Kurama. But as the masked man jumped to get Kurama, Minato used his flying Raijin jutsu to teleport to get to his son before he hit the ground. He thanked the gods that he decided to put the seals around the room, just in case the fox did escape and he needed to fight it. The young man never thought that he would need it to save his son like this. Leave it to the yellow flash of the leaf, but what about the next one? And with that, the masked man triggered the seals on the blanket, that set them alight. Minato saw this and so he dropped the blanket, as Kushina cried out to her son. When Minato dropped the blanket, he ran out of the chamber. When they barely made it out of the house as it exploded, he sighed in relief and looked at Kurama. Who was that guy? He made me use the Hiraishin no jutsu. Not only that, but his target was Kushina, as she was the Jinchuriki. But how? We were very careful to not allow anyone to know that she was one. Whatever the case, whoever he is, he was able to succeed in separating us. I need to hurry and take Kurama to the safe house and then find her. Kushina found herself at a location she hadn't seen before, where she tied up to 4 stone pillars by black chakra. As she was being tied up, she was breathing heavily and she said, "Alright. What do you want from me? I'm going to extract the 9 tails and crush the Leaf Village." The masked man informed the Jinchuriki. What? She was honestly shocked at his proclamation. Minato's teleportation jutsu allows him to move instantly between locations that are marked with jutsu formulas. The masked man informed the young mother, which is where the formula is incorporated into the seal that has the 9 tails sealed. So that way your husband could protect you at all times, but he's far away. And your 9 tails seal is now weakened, thanks to your childbirth, so I can now use the beast for my own needs. With that, the masked man started to undo the seal on Kushina's belly. As he did, Kushina began to scream in pain as a crimson chakra cloak appeared around her, along with a few tails as well. Back in the seal, Kurama was desperately trying to fight back the pull, but to no avail. Those damn Uchiha. Always ruining lives for their own greedy needs. It needed to do something quickly, as Kushina will die from this. Suddenly an idea came to mind. The seal is supposed to contain its chakra. The seal doesn't necessarily need to contain himself, just his chakra, enough for her to live the rest of her long life. Without hesitation he bit his arm off, right before he was sucked out, leaving enough chakra to keep his former host, his family, alive and strong. After a few minutes of Kushina screaming in pain, the seal began to open, and in doing so, made what looked like a black hole opening in Kushina's belly. Now come on out, 9 tails. The masked man cried out as he pulled a black-like entity. This black entity soon turned into crimson chakra, and then into the 9-tailed beast itself. Good. Now we'll head off to the hidden leaf village. The masked man told the beast. Normally one wouldn't be able to control any of the tail beasts, more so with the 9-tailed beast. But the masked man wasn't a normal man. He was an Uchiha and had the Sharingan, eyes with great power. One of these powers were if you were strong enough, and knew the right ability, you could control any of the tailed beasts, even Kyuubi. With the 9 tails out of the seal, the black chakra rope disappeared, and fell onto the rock. Whilst not dead, Kushina was weakened and unable to move much. She only had enough power to push herself up, and call out with one word. Wait. You Kushina are just about amazing. You don't die right away when the tailed beast is extracted. You were the 9 tails Jinchuriki. So I'll let you die by his hands. And with that the man had 9 tails attack Kushina. Kyuubi used it right paw to squish his former prison. But at the last second, Minato appeared and saved his wife. You really are as quick as a flash, commented the masked man, as he saw Minato save his wife. But you are too late, I've got what I wanted. With Kushina though, whilst she was weak, she was worried about them and so asked, "Our son, is he okay?" "He's fine." Minato reassured his wife, "He's at the safe house." "Ah, good." Kushina sighed in relief. "Minato, that masked man, is with Kyuubi, they are heading towards our village." Minato wanted to fight this man but knew he wouldn't win. Not only was there the 9 tails to deal with, but the masked man too, who had to be very powerful to break the 9-tail seal. Sure, it was weakened thanks to Kushina giving birth to Naruto, but it still needed someone powerful enough to break the seal itself. Whilst he couldn't see the masked man's face properly, Minato thought he saw that the man had a Sharingan. Realizing this, Minato took his wife to the safe house to be with their newborn son. In a bright room, Kurama was sleeping peacefully where his father left him. In the center of the room, Minato appeared carrying Kushina bridal style. He turned to Kurama walking towards him. Minato smiled at her as he looked at her, happy that she is alright, but worried, never having seen his wife looking so weak before. Never mind, just stay with Kurama, he told her as he put her down next to the sleeping baby. As Kushina looked at her baby, tears started to well up in her eyes as she gently put a hand on the sheets covering his stomach, before she moved it up, stroking the whisker marks on his right cheeks and bring him closer to her. Kurama. She sobbed, now long holding back her tears, and as happiness and relief fills her as she finally holds her baby in her arms. Minato watched the scene. The burning rage he had for the masked man that stole his son and kidnapped his wife faded for an instant at the mother and son moment. However, it came back full force and stronger than ever. If I didn't make it in time, Kushina-chan would have never held Kurama, she would never have gotten to see him grow, and Kurama would have lost his mother. At that realization, his fist tightened as he ran to the wardrobe, pulling it open. "Thank you, Minato, and good luck," Kushina whispered as her husband got ready. Minato pulled out his Hokage robes, swinging it on in one move, and as he did, he told his wife, "I'll be right back." The Hidden Leaf Village was peaceful. Fathers and sons watched the stars, husbands and wives argued, cats made their rendezvous, shopping patriots left for the night promising to come back, friends helped their drinking buddies home. The villagers laughed and gossiped without a care in the world, completely unaware of the danger that was approaching. Kakashi sighed as Guy once again tried to rope him into another challenge. "Look, why don't we just do rock paper scissors again?" Kakashi offered, not wanting to do anything too strenuous on this peaceful night. "Oh come on, there must be something more exciting we can do, and you call yourself my rival," Guy complained, in his usual over-the-top voice. Kakashi stared at him. "We have to get an early start tomorrow, so why don't we take a pass for tonight?" He smiled, hoping to placate his rival. "A mission is no excuse. I have all this pent-up energy inside me, so there's no better time than right now for some really rigorous training." Guy shouted as he kept walking onward, his hand pointed towards the sky and a bright future as he continued his monologue about training, not realizing that Kakashi stopped feeling like something bad was going to happen. When Guy finally noticed him, he swung back, getting right in Kakashi's face. "Are you even listening to me? Forget that for now," Kakashi told him, trusting his instincts that have been honed by years of fighting in life and death situations. "Do you feel something strange, like there was suddenly a dark chill in the air?" he told his comrade as he searched for the source of the disturbing feeling. "The only thing chilly here is your attitude. You must be more hot-blooded," Guy shouted at the top of his lungs at his apathetic companion, unaware that Kakashi was sensing what was to come. In his study, Hiruzen Sarutobi read over some of the reports in Minato Place as smoked his pipe, but then he suddenly felt a chill as he breathed out. Smoke filled the air as he looked at the window at the full moon. "It can't be," he said, praying that the familiar feeling was not what he thought it was. Getting up, he left the room, not taking a chance as he went to change into his battle armor. The masked man landed in an alleyway of the village, silently as he prepared his plan. His lone Sharingan eye blazed crimson as he shouted, summoning jutsu. Seals spread out as he slammed his hand to the ground. Time seemed to stop in the village. People froze mid-step. Leaves came to a halt mid-air as absolute silence filled the village for a single moment. Then it all came to an end as an event that would leave the village scared for years started. Boom! Was heard all over the village as an explosion went off. Smoke filled the area, catching the attention of every person in the village. Powerful shockwaves sent debris flying, and the villagers closest to the event stopped the arms up to protect them from the wind as others were knocked down. As the shockwaves ceased, the villager looked at the shadowy figure in the smoke. A villager watched in terror. "Is that?" Glowing blood-red eye could be seen through, as reddish-orange fur appeared, and a growling could be heard. The villagers cried out in terror. "No way!" One of them shouted at the monster that appeared before them. 9 tails curled out and a blood-curdling "Ruah-aarrrrrr" filled Konoha. It's the Kyuubi," one of the villagers shouted, and all the villagers fled for their lives. "Go Kyuubi!" The masked man ordered his servant, and by command of the Sharingan the fox obeyed, releasing another earth-shattering roar. Windows broke all over and his left claw smashed up the building next to him. The wreckage flew, impaling the feeling citizens. He swung his claws about, crushing one building after another building. Blood covered his claws from the citizens that couldn't get away in time. Their squashed bodies and pools of blood littered the streets. His tails lashed out, crushing more buildings. As they moved out the way, you could see the remains of the once house owners, their body under the rubble, and the wreckage took on a crimson paint. In another building, lifeless eyes looked at the back of the beast, surprise forever etched on his face, as blood came down from his eyes. His tails now dripped with blood, as the crimson coated the beast fur. Kyuubi looked every bit as demonic as the legends said. His claws came up, killing more of his prey, as the crimson sheen spread more and more, now reaching up to his upper knees. With a chakra-powered roar, he blasted the villagers he couldn't reach away. They flew in the air, their bodies crashing into buildings, beaten and broken as their limbs bent in unnatural ways. Those far enough away to survive the crashing were pinned to the walls and could only watch their death approach as debris blown away crashed into them. Some were crushed, others impaled wooden or metal spikes. By the end of the roar, the wall was covered in red paint as flesh and bits of bone and white dust stuck to its surface. Those few that survived were in no condition to run as the Kyuubi began to move. His claws stepped over the blood and corpses of his prey, not at all affected, crushing their body further into an unrecognized pulp, and bloody footprints were left on the surfaces that were still somewhat clean. They watched in fear, as the blood-covered demon approached them, its mouth opening. His still stainless white teeth could be seen, sharp and ready to tear into them. In the Hokage Tower, an Anbu Shunshin behind the Sandame. Sandame-sama, it's the Kyuubi. As he gave his report, the Sandame Hokage was already dressed, making the final adjustments to his armor before he went into battle. Yes, I know, I'll restrain him. You and the others go and protect all the people of the village, he told his subordinate with the calm and stern voice of a leader. Yes, sir, the Anbu replied before vanishing to relay the Hokage's orders to the rest of his squad. Was Kushina's seal broken? We failed even with all the safeguards we put in place, he thought. Bawako, the Sandame mulled over the whereabout of his wife before he went into battle, hoping she is still alive. Damn you, Kyuubi, it's time to release all my pent-up energy, Guy shouted, stupidly provoking the rampaging fox demon. We don't know what we're up against. Kakashi, as the voice of reason, tried to stop his idiot friend. Come on, I'll be your opponent, Guy said anyway, as he made a crane pose, his arms raised making a V-shape, with one leg held up. Wait. Senior Jonin with ringed red eyes and a sword told them. Gather immediately in the guard room. Why? Kakashi questioned. The Sandame Hokage ordered it, he shouted at them. You heard him, let's go, Guy. The Inoshika Cho were protecting some of the citizens as they evacuated. Choza used his staff to hit away any debris that came their way. Now's our chance, Choza shouted. Quickly evacuate the village, Shikaku ordered. In the background, the Kyuubi could be seen, flames below him as if the flames of hell came up, as his rampage continued. Up in the trees, several Konoha shinobi stood about to begin their counter-attack. Are we ready? One of them questioned. Yeah, was his response. As the Kyuubi claw crushed another building, causing it to explode, one of the shinobi used the smoke as a cover to get close. Over here, Kyuubi, he shouted as he threw kunai with explosion tags on them. They did nothing as they exploded right in his face, only angering the beast even more. The Kyuubi tried to kill the insect that attacked him, swung his claw, but the fox missed as the Konoha shinobi fell as the claw came, and two more shinobi jumped up on the other side, as they too threw kunai explosive tags, but the fox hit them with his arm, breaking their necks as he sent them flying. Your battle's over here, with me, more Konoha ninja shouted from behind. Annoyed by the constant attack come from these insects, the crimson-covered fox swung his tails in all directions, with a roar killing the two that attacked him. As the shockwave hit the remaining troops, their leader called out. Do not falter, we must allow the remaining villagers to escape, he shouted, and as he did that the Kyuubi found where they were hiding. As he turned, he came face to face with the Sharingan pattern of the Kyuubi, before it destroyed the tree they were standing in, sending it flying. More ninja arrived shouting. Don't take action on your own, assemble around Hiruzen-sama. Carry out your orders, the Sandame shouted to his ninja, knowing that if they need to get the beast away from the village before they do anything more. The Sandame wasn't the only cage to arrive. on top of the Hokage monument on the head of the Yondaime Hokage, Minato appeared in a flash of yellow light. His cape fluttered in the wind as he stared at the Kyuubi and the damage it's done to his village. As Hokage, I must protect the village, my family. This is what I'm meant to do right now. I won't let you destroy my home. Minato thought as he gazed at the fox determination in his eye as he prepares to go into battle. As if by fate, the Kyuubi's eyes caught the Yondaime. He turned his head and faced him, glaring at the Yondaime. So you noticed me, huh? Said to himself, not at all surprised about the face the fox singled him out from so far away, knowing that the fate of the village will be decided by them in the end. The Kyuubi opened his mouth. Black and white chakra started to gather, compressing into a purple ball of compressed chakra. Realizing what the fox intends, Minato starts to make hand signs. I won't let you do this. Just as the ball is about to hit the monument, it stops. Seals appear in midair around it. The air and space surrounding the ball twist and bend as it seems to swallow the chakra. To the side, Minato is controlling the barrier, and the space and time itself obeyed him as he orders it to close around the sphere. As the sphere is fully consumed, Minato brought his kunai up, finishing the jutsu, and miles away from behind him an explosion happened that can be clearly seen from the village, destroying an entire mountain range. With this much power, I need to carefully choose where I redirect his attacks. The Yondaime thought, knowing that a blast like that could kill millions if he sent it to the wrong place. In the village, almost all shinobi stopped as a lull from the fight started as they all recognized the jutsu used and what it means. That jutsu that redirected the Kyuubi attack, that's a transportation barrier. Choza stated, it's Minato. Shikaku finished. The Sandaime rallied the remaining Konoha ninja as he ordered them to move into. Unfortunately for Minato, his allies weren't the only ones to take note of his arrival. Back on the monument, Minato thought. I got to alert Sandaime-sama of what's going on. As he thought that, the masked man from before appeared behind him, his left hand stretched, as he prepared to get rid of his adversary. Just as his hand was about to reach, Minato turned around, stabbing his kunai in the side of the man's head in a reverse grip. Only be taken by surprise when the kunai goes through the man's head, and as Minato hand comes out the other side, the man's outstretched hand came up. At first Minato arm went through it too, but then the man suddenly grabbed Minato's arm. I'm your opponent and you're done for. The masked man said with confidence as a vortex appeared in his left eye and proceeded to suck Minato in. Just seconds away from being sucked in completely, Minato disappeared. He got away so fast, next time I'll take him a lot quicker. The masked man said, impressed at the speed at which the yellow flash moved at. He made a hand sign and followed Minato as the vortex in his eyes sucked him in. On the outskirts of the village, in the center of 3 trikunais, Minato appeared and fall to the ground. My attack passed right through him, but a moment later he made himself solid and tried to pull me inside him. Minato thought, going over what his enemy did. What was that jutsu? He thought, concerned, when he suddenly felt a presence. Looking in front of him, he sees a distortion in space as a vortex appears and the man from before comes out of it. The masked man looked at Minato with his lone Sharingan eye. You shall not escape. He uses the transportation technique too. That's how he was able to grab Kushina and move so quickly. Minato thought over as he pulled his kunai out of the ground and faced his opponent. He defeated the Anbu Black Ops assigned to Sandaime-sama, got past the highest level classified barrier, and know that the Kyuubi seal will weaken during childbirth. Even more than that, he undid the Kyuubi seal and tamed him. He slipped in and out of the village without any alarms. Minato listed all the man's achievements in his head and came to one conclusion. There's only one man I know that can do all that. Are you Madara Uchiha? Minato asked the masked man. At the question, the man took off his hood, showing his spiky hair. No, that would be impossible. He's dead. I wonder about that. The masked man taunted. In the end, it doesn't matter who you are, but why attack Konohagakure? Minato responded with another question. What would you like to hear? I could say I did it on a whim, or that I planned it, or that it's for war, or that it's for peace. The man pulled chains from his sleeves as he finished his monologue of reasons. Either way, he's not ordinary. He can control the 9 tails. His transportation technique surpasses both Naidem-sama and mine. And he has some dangerous ideology. If I don't settle this now, we'll have even big problems than the Kyuubi. Were Minato thoughts as he prepared to fight, and the masked man attached the chain to his wrists. If I transport myself to the village, he'll come to the battlefield with me, it will be chaos. If he's anything like Madara, he can't keep the Kyuubi under the summoning jutsu for long. I have to trust Sandaime-sama and take this guy out right here now. Now that I've freed the Kyuubi, there is no hope for any of you. The masked man stated as both he and Minato charged. Minato tried to stab him with his kunai only to phase right through him. When Minato came out the other side, the man's change attempted to ensnare him, but as they began to tighten, Minato disappeared in a flash and reappeared at a kunai ahead of him. My physical attacks have no effect on him, but he makes himself solid when he attacks me. I have to aim for a mutual strike precisely timed. But he knows he's vulnerable when he attacks, and considering the time remaining on the Kyuubi's summoning jutsu, he doesn't want a lengthy battle either. Whoever attacks an instant quicker than the other will win this match. Minato summarized his strategy to win in his head before attacking the man and towards the moment that will decide the battle. Both combatants charged like they did the first time, but Minato threw his kunai at the last second, but it went through the man. As the man's hand was about to land the finishing blow that would end the fight, Minato produced a giant Rasengan in his right hand. But it was too late. As the spinning orb of chakra approached, the man's blow hit and the fight over as he declared, "I win." But in a flash Minato disappeared in midair behind him from the kunai he threw. His left hand grabbed the kunai in midair, and in slow motion Minato finished his attack and slammed the Rasengan right into the man's back. As the orb drilled through him and the ground below him shattered, the masked man realized what happened. Damn it. He teleported himself to his kunai. As the orb of chakra drilled into the masked man, Minato finished the match. Flying Raijin Level 2, Hiraishin no Jutsu. An explosion happened as the compressed chakra was released, shattering the ground below, but just seconds before Minato separated from him, he slammed his hand on the spot his Rasengan drilled into and left his mark on the man. The masked man jumped away. His breathing was deep, the attack having taken a toll on him as his left hand seemed to melt, as a white liquid fell from it. "You got me. You really are a slippery one. I should have never left my guard down around you," the man commended. But as he finished, Minato teleported to him and stabbed him with his kunai. His other hand was on the man's chest. "Flying Raijin Jutsu, of course he must have marked me somewhere," the man thought in surprise as he grasped how Minato appeared. As the man went through his thoughts, a sealing array appeared from the hand Minato had on his chest. "A contract seal, trying to separate the Kyuubi from me. With this, the Kyuubi no longer yours." Back in the village, the Kyuubi eyes returned to the normal slit shape. He stood on two legs, his fur glistened in the moonlight, bathing him in a crimson glow from the blood of his prey, as he let out a roar of his long-sworded freedom. No longer in control, Kyuubi was quick to cease his rampage and run off, confusing many shinobi though not stopping them from attacking him. As much as it wanted to continue its rampage, it could not. Kushina and her child still live in this godforsaken cesspool. It would risk killing them if he continued, and above all else this was his chance for freedom and to truly help with Kushina's ambition. Back with Minato, the masked man jumped into the tree, blood dripped down showing he was done. "You are worthy of your title, Yondaime Hokage, injuring me and separating the Kyuubi." The masked man praised his opponent. A vortex appeared from his eye, and as he was dragged in he gave a warning. "But he will be mine one day. I shall rule this world. There are plenty of ways to do it." Minato looked serious. Given his tone, he's not joking around. Back with the Kyuubi, the Konoha nin kept fighting the Kyuubi. There was a clear path of destruction behind them, from when the Kyuubi was escaping out of the village. "Hold the attack and wait for the Yondaime Hokage," one of them shouted to the rest before attacking. Back in the village, Jonin Shinku Yuhi was addressing the younger ninja that were being kept safe by a barrier. "Listen up, you younger shinobi, stay away from the Kyuubi," Shinku commanded. "Say what?" Kurenai questioned her father. "This is a domestic issue, not a war against other villagers. There's no reason for you to put your lives on the line for this." "You got to be kidding," Kurenai shouted at her father. "Stop it, Kurenai," Asuma next to her said. "You are also a shinobi. You aren't going to live forever, you know. But my daughter, you're a woman too. Bequeath the will of fire on my future grandchildren. Please make that your oath to me, your father, because I do believe in you," he told his daughter with a smile. Minato appeared once again on the monument, this time on the Sandaime head, as he looked back at the Kyuubi, who was trying to put as much distance between it and the village. "This is bad," he said out loud. "Who knows how much damage the fox could cause while free from its binds. Not only that, it would also cause a power imbalance between the 5 great shinobi villages, creating war and strife. Summoning jutsu, bring down the house. Gamabunta, the chief toad, appeared above the fox, landing right on top of him, holding the fox down. He gathered his resolve to do what must be done. Kushina-chan, forgive me. Hold the Kyuubi just a little while longer. I'll give it my best, but that's going to be tough even for me. The chief toad told his summoner, as he watched the Kyuubi struggle. I'm going to need a lot of chakra to transport such a large object away. The fox then disappeared. Minato, he transported the Kyuubi with him. The Sandaime turned to the side to see a giant explosion in the distance. Over there. The Kyuubi reappeared inside a house that was quickly destroyed thanks to his size. To the side of him, Minato appeared with his wife and child in hand. He was suffering from chakra exhaustion from transporting the Kyuubi. I must erect a barrier now. What do you think you're doing, Minato? Kushina wheezed. She had no idea why he brought her and her son to this place. She was still too weak to do anything useful for this situation. Kushina. Minato knew what he is about to say and will greatly anger his wife, but he has no choice. Oh, if only he knew he was essentially going to destroy the love she has for him. You know that I have to seal Kyuubi away. Seal him? But how? We don't have any available Uzumaki to use, and resealing him back into me is impossible, not like I would actually help in any of this. There is one Uzumaki we could use. Who? He didn't answer, instead he glanced at her guiltily, rather he glanced specifically at who she is holding. No. Realization came to her, followed by complete horror and rage. You can't be serious, Minato. Her yelling accidentally woke up Kurama, who started crying from the loud noise, though it was nothing short of a miracle that the roars of the struggling Kyuubi and giant toad didn't wake him up sooner. Shish, it's okay, sweetie. Everything is alright. Kurama was quick to calm down, snuggling deeper into his mother's embrace. Seal it into me. What? If you seal it into me, I can drag it with me to death, and when it reforms it will be far away from Konoha that it will not even bother to come looking for it. Though she would never accomplish her plans, but ultimately her child's happiness and safety was far more important right now. The Kyuubi looked worried at Kushina, knowing she was sacrificing her life for his and the kit's freedom, though he tried to warn her about Minato's reasons for his decision, only for his snout to be slammed into the ground by the annoying toad. I can't do that, Kushina. Why not? Kurama whimpered at his mother's shout but didn't cry this time. With the Kyuubi gone, we'll be at a major disadvantage to the other villages. There will be no Jinchuriki until it remerges. This will upset the balance of power between the Biju. Are you serious? All this maintain this farce of a balance? She looked at him with disbelief. Minato, just think about what you are doing. Do you have any idea how Jinchuriki are treated by others? Do you want our son to be subjugated by the same treatment? Do you? Kushina, I believe you give so little credit to our people. They will see Naruto as a hero for stopping this madness and for saving this village. Just how delusional is he? What happened to make him this way? Or was he always like this and she was too blinded by love to see it? Minato, you are a father. Please think about what's best for our child, for our family. It seemed like Minato was thinking about what she said, and she felt hope that he'll stop this nonsense. Though what little hope she had was instantly crushed by what he said next. I am not just a father, I am also the Hokage of this village. The villagers are just as much as my family as you and Kurama are. Not only that, but my duties as Hokage is first and foremost, while being father is second. I hope you'll forgive me, Kushina. Kushina had nothing to say. All the love she had for him, gone, dead, replaced with deep and burning hatred. Before she could do anything, before she could even form a thought, what energy she had left vanished and she can feel herself blacking out. Minato took this opportunity to snag Kurama away from her. When you wake up, please take care of our son. With the last of her consciousness she muttered one sentence, with as much hatred as possible, that will forever haunt and break Minato for the rest of his short miserable life. He is not your son, he is my son. She took great pleasure in seeing Minato's shocked broken look before the darkness finally took her. You can't be serious, sensei, for the greater good village. Minato wanted. Plans her, so be it. Kushina opened her eyes slowly, tiredly looking around. Where am I? Last thing I remember. Kurama. She sat up quickly, now wide awake in full-blown panic. Calm down, Kushina. She turned to see the Sandaime as well as Jiraiya standing next to her bed with solemn looks. Hiruzen. Jiraiya. What happened? Where is my son? Kushina, calm down first. The Sandaime said softly yet firmly. After a few minutes of calming down, she could finally get her answers. Kushina, there is no easy way to tell you this, but Minato died saving the village. That isn't important right now. I want to know what happened to my son. The two men looked shocked at how she nonchalantly brushed aside Minato's death as if it was nothing. Kushina, the sealing was a success, but Minato needed a new host. Wait, what? Why, you mean he didn't use Kurama for the sealing?
This was great, no better than great. Her son wouldn't have to know the hardships of being a Jinchuriki. Maybe her last words actually snapped him out of his delusion.
However, the Sandaime gained a guilty look, and she suddenly felt fear in the pit of her stomach.
Kushina, the sealing went very wrong, and as such Minato needed to find a different host. What do you mean wrong? Hiruzen, where is my son? Sandaime closed his eyes in remorse for the words he was about to say. Kushina, your son Kurama is dead. The room was silent. The two men couldn't bear to look at Kushina's expression as feeling of deep sadness and guilt took over. What? The end. Remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.